Alright guys, we are here with our second off-season war. Today we'll be bringing in Tigra, Shang-Chi, and Venompool. I'll be taking Path 5 in Section 1 and Path 4 in Section 2. And I happen to get a mini-boss on Stun Reflect and the boss, which is a Peni Parker. So Path 5, Section 1, I decide to take all 3 fights with Tigra. I am able to comfortably cause miss for Cosmic Ghost Rider's SP1, which what you're going to see is him kind of not play as aggressive with his SP1 to where I confidently go into it each time that he throws it. So we got one here, and then I think that's the only one of 4. The others, he doesn't throw it. He doesn't throw them immediately, so I end up kind of hesitating and end up just dexing the whole thing instead. So here's another one. He's not really wanting to throw this one. Then he threw it immediately there, and I wasn't ready for it. So decided to not be too aggressive and risk getting hit. Instead, I just punish him against the wall. And there, that one he didn't throw right away either. So again, I dex the whole thing, but we're sitting pretty with both senses up for this SP2, and this takes him out. So pretty smooth fight, not your most aggressive Tigra play, but it still gets the job done with barely any health lost. So the second node, we're taking Apocalypse. I'm a little bit more comfortable taking Apocalypse with charging the heavy and making him miss with SP1, because it can be pretty much done anywhere on the field. I mean, ideally we'd like to do it with his back against the wall. That way we can constantly chain heavies until we get both senses up. But you'll see here with most of his SP1s, I'm able to throw in one light attack to get close enough to make sure that my heavy attack hits him. And Apocalypse, his SP1 takes forever to recover. So even if you are slightly out of range to where the first 2 hits miss, you're still sitting pretty as far as clipping him with the SP or with the heavy attack. So there is an example. So going smooth. Now we're going to build up to this SP2. While we've got both senses up, we've got Ebb and Flow knocked down. We've got the Fury from it, and down he goes. So another smooth Tigra fight. Alright, the next one is this Ebony Maw on Power Alternator with Heavy Hitter. And this one I was kind of curious about, not because of the Heavy Hitter. I've actually tested against Weapon X, releasing the Heavy while the Unstoppable is still up, and he's finished his Heavy attack, and the second swipe ends up hitting him. So I figured the same thing might work for Ebony Maw. I was actually more worried about Power Alternator and him reaching SP2 without me realizing it. Now, one reason I am kind of curious about Tigra here is because of high ground. Now I don't have to take any blocks here as long as I get the spacing right when retaliating his SP1 or his heavy attack. So as long as we can get him pinned against the wall, and you saw I took some degen damage there. That's the first from the nullifying the dexterity buff or the fury buff with his SP1, but now we've got him pinned against the wall. He's throwing SP1s against the wall, so he's staying against the wall. The ruptures are doing their work. We've got one sense up, but as you're noticing, Power Alternator is kind of hitting at the perfect time to where I can't throw SP1, but luckily he's already used his SP1, so it's not pushing into SP2. And we're not triggering many buffs here. So Mystic Dispersion isn't coming in to play, and down he went, nice and smooth. All right, Section 2, Path 4, was looking to use Shang-Chi here. Spider-Gwen, I'm focusing on the slow Wushu, and then while a slow is up, if I end up pushing Spider-Gwen into being unblockable, I can at least stun her through her block while she can't evade, and then drop the Shrug Wushu. But what you're going to see here is I think it goes perfectly smooth or fine. I was dealing with a Halloween party cleanup after when taking this. I think there's one time I get hit, but we're keeping the slow up, so she's not evading at all. Here's the SP2. I didn't get hit during this one. I was actually kind of sad she had suicides and that she died so quick. So pretty smooth fight. Nothing really to worry about there. Here with Modok, we're going to try and keep the unblockable Wushu up a lot. So you just have to be mindful at the beginning that he's going to have the auto block. And if you plan on triggering the unblockable by actually making contact, you need to make sure you just took the force field down. So there, it kind of looks like that on paper. And I got clipped by that SB1. But in another scenario, and you're going to see this coming up, it's probably more ideal or more practical that you're going to do the unblockable by hitting into Modok's block. Then you don't have to worry about the force field being up or down. But as you can see, it's a very viable option. Isn't totally crazy. All right, so Terrax was on Stun Reflect, and I was excited. I was actually awake to try and take this with Tigra. Realistically, in a real war, I wouldn't be using Tigra unless she was duped, because the fights last like 30 seconds. With a Power Start 1, you just get to SB2 with both senses up, and it's game over. But here, what you're going to see is that I have to push Terrax to his wall. I got a few intercepts in there, and I did retaliate his heavy. You are seeing me not retaliating his heavy here. I just want to get him against the wall to start off. I'm going to retaliate his SB1 here. Still kind of focusing on pushing him to the wall as I build to SB1 to get the second sense up, and there it goes. So now we're going to focus on wrecking him against the wall until he gets SB1, and then us using SB2. Now it's polka dot power, so that SB2 didn't come right away, so I didn't throw it right away. Retaliate this heavy to take some of the indestructible charges off, and then throw the SB2, and he's just gone. So was really proud of myself, especially after last war. Now I was super excited about this boss fight. I saw DLL, Daddy Longlegs, take this fight with a Venompool in the prior off season. So I kind of got the game plan from him on how to do it, which I'll go ahead and put his link, the link to his channel, in the bio or in the description. But the game plan here, I used the pre-fight for the fave food for combat energy, so that I gain that buff right there, or have a higher chance of gaining that combat rate buff sooner than the rest. Just because the game plan here obviously hit into her block to remove the shield charges so that we can avoid auto block, but he's immune to power drain against tech champs, so we don't have to worry about that damage. But Penny will still auto block. We're bringing that shield down. Hopefully it's gone by the time we're ready to throw SB2 or SB3, and we retaliate an SB1 with a heavy there to get the vicious buff so that our damage over time debuffs last a lot longer. So we got to SB3, we used it. Now our cooking timer is going to be a spicy timer. So blocked hits, regular hits from either champ. You're going to see me block a bunch of SB1s here. It's just so that I can constantly get that timer or that meter to 100 so that we can pause that bleed debuff. And that started at about 92% when I threw that SP1. And what you're going to see is that thing is going to stay there till about, I want to say it was like 40. It's 40 or 39%. And that's the game plan with Venompool. Now, at this point, the fight's gone on a long time. We've gotten one of each buff, so now we're starting to build these Fury buffs. So our actual contact hits are going to do quite a bit of damage. But because of the constant auto block, and you see there, I got a little too aggressive with an auto block. But with a constant auto block, we're not going to land a lot of direct hits. So most of our damage is going to come from that bleed debuff that we get from the special attacks. So here was another heavy to get the vicious buff. Now we're going to push the SP3, and I was trying to get this SP1 out before throwing this, but I saw the shield was going to come back up, so I still continued to bait it. And then now this one, this bleed debuff, this SP3 is going to do 0 damage, but this bleed debuff is going to do over 5,000 a tick. And the game plan again here is just to take a bunch of blocked hits. Now my health is low from an unfortunate combo that I took, so I'm only going to be able to take so many blocked hits before she goes down. And you see there, she decided not to throw a heavy. So now I'm just going to be aggressive and intercept her. And game over. So I did boost. I had a 20% champion boost expiring, and I used an APB to get to SP3 a lot faster. But I was really happy that I got to test all of these fights this war. And I was kind of hoping none of them had suicides, but I was happy that it was just the Shang-Chi fights that had suicides. But yeah, great war. I was pretty happy with it, even though it's an off-season war. A lot of testing, a lot of successful fights. Just getting that practice in so that next season, if these options come up and we need someone for it, I at least tried it. But I hope you enjoyed the war. See you guys at the next one.